That is McClosky's insight. He realized that utilitarianism was based on a principle that doesn't care about who gets what consequences. This time, we are talking about what is probably the most famous argument against utilitarianism that has ever been suggested in the history of moral philosophy. And this is a famous argument involving a sheriff. It comes originally from the philosopher H.J. McClosky. McClosky introduced this example. And the example is what's called a counterexample, which is a specific type, a counterexample, is a specific type of objection to a claim or a moral theory. We'll come back to exactly what a counterexample is. I'll say something briefly about that, but actually, I think I have another video about counterexamples. If I do, then I will link to it somewhere. If I don't, then I won't. But we didn't read anything by H.J. McClosky. We read, for this course, something written by J.J.C. Smart. Smart was a philosopher who lived and worked mostly in Australia in the 20th century. I believe he died in 2012. And he was a utilitarian. So he was defending utilitarianism. But he knew that McClosky had, introduced this really famous, really powerful objection to utilitarianism. And so the portion of Smart that we read for today is the portion where he first summarizes McClosky's sheriff example, and then he responds to that example. He responds to the objection to utilitarianism. And so we're going to talk about both of those today. First, however, let's remind ourselves a little bit about utilitarianism, right? So utilitarianism, as we've said before in this course, is the moral theory that says that we are required, morally required, to do whatever action will produce the outcome with the greatest total of pleasure minus pain. That's utilitarianism. And we saw, right, that utilitarianism is a version of consequentialism. And consequentialism is the sort of more general moral theory that says you have to do whatever is going to produce the best outcome, whatever is going to have the best consequences. So it's the consequences or outcomes that matter. What makes an outcome good? Well, what makes an outcome good, according to the utilitarian, is answered by another theory that we've been calling aggregation. Aggregation is the theory that an outcome is good, a situation involving lots of people is good, if the total or the sum of how good that situation is for individual people is the greatest. So aggregation is just the addition theory of the goodness of situations. But then, so you figure out what to do based on the consequences, says consequentialism, and then you figure out how good the consequences are, which is the best consequences. You figure that out by adding up how good those consequences or those situations are for individual people. But then you have the question of, what makes a situation good for individual people? And the answer to that, according to the utilitarian, is hedonism. Hedonism is the theory that says that a situation is good for an individual person if it maximizes, to the degree to which it maximizes their pleasure and minimizes their pain. Hedonism says that pain is the thing that matters ultimately for people. It's the thing that's good for people. Pleasure is the thing that's good for people, and pain is the thing that's bad for people. Okay, so utilitarianism, as we've been saying in this course, is the combination of these three sub-theses. Notice that this sheriff example that we're going to talk about today, summarized by J.J.C. Smart, originally from H.J. McClosky or whatever, this example is going to put pressure on aggregation. It's going to put pressure on the idea that what makes a circumstance or a situation good is the total sum of how good it is for all the individual people. Here in one sentence is the objection to utilitarianism. Here we go. Suppose that the sheriff of a small town can prevent serious riots, in which hundreds of people will be killed, only by framing and executing as a scapegoat an innocent man. Okay, so we understand what the scenario is. Some crime has been committed, some terrible thing has happened, and the people are convinced that someone did it. They think they know who did it, and the sheriff knows that that person is innocent. But the sheriff can't convince these agitated citizens, and if they don't get what they see as justice, they're going to riot, and it's just definitely going to happen that hundreds of people are going to be killed in these riots. And so the thought is, this is the thought, and it's not in this sentence, right? But the thought is, so utilitarianism says that the sheriff is morally required to frame the innocent person and have the innocent person killed, executed, even though they did not commit the crime, just so that this riot won't occur in which, well, indeed, hundreds of people would die. Because utilitarianism says that you have to just do the addition. You have to add up all of the pain caused by not framing the innocent man, and then consider the alternative, add up all the pain and pleasure that will result from framing the innocent man, and it's just obvious that framing this person is the better outcome when it comes to the sum of pain and pleasure. So utilitarianism says that the sheriff has to frame an innocent person. But the thought goes, McClosky's thought, the thought is, but that's awful. Framing an innocent person is a terrible, terrible thing. And so if utilitarianism gets this result, well then it's not the right moral theory. It's a moral theory that's supposed to tell us which actions are right and which actions are wrong, but it tells us that this profoundly wrong action is right. So it's the wrong theory. That's the sense in which this is a putative counterexample. It's an example that goes counter to the generalization, right? Utilitarianism is a theory, and it's basically just a generalization. It says all the actions like this are good, and all the actions like that are bad. And so when you have a general statement like that, you can disprove a general statement like that with a single example that goes counter to that general statement, right? If you can find a single example of some action that utilitarianism says is good but is actually bad, like this, then you've proven that utilitarianism isn't correct. It isn't true. It isn't a true generalization about which actions are good and which actions are bad. That's the sense in which it's a counterexample. A counterexample is just one type of objection to a philosophical theory or to any general claim. That's the objection. If you've understood what's going on, then you should feel the force of this objection. You should think, oh, utilitarianism is in trouble. It's in desperate trouble. This is bad, because you should think, oh, God, framing an innocent person is terrible. And so any moral theory that says it's good is just out of whack. It gets the wrong result in this case. Notice also that the problem is fundamentally a problem with the aggregation portion of utilitarianism. Aggregation just says that if you want to know how good a situation or an outcome is, then you just do addition. 2 plus 6 equals 8. You get that same result as if you did 4 plus 4. That also equals 8. Here's the thing about addition. Addition doesn't care about the distribution of things. You still get the same number 8. Even if you have more over here than you have over here, right? You still get 8. If you divide them evenly, you still get 8. Aggregation, as a theory about what makes a situation good for people, It doesn't care about the distribution of pleasure and pain. It just cares about the total. It just cares about the sum. So utilitarianism doesn't care if someone is innocent of a crime. Punishing them might be the right thing to do even if they are innocent, so long as punishing them will result in the most pleasure and the least pain. That is McClosky's insight. He realized that utilitarianism was based on a principle that doesn't care about who gets what consequences. And so he's trying to put pressure on that theory by leveraging the fact that we have a moral intuition that it does matter who did what, right? It does matter what consequences you get based on your own actions. So he's leveraging that fact to attack utilitarianism and show that it's an incorrect, flawed moral theory. Okay, that's the objection, that's the counterexample. That's the main thing I wanted to get through in this lecture or whatever. But it's worth talking about Smart's response. Okay, so here's what Smart says. Initially, Smart points out that a utilitarian could respond to this example and say, well, look, actually, utilitarianism gets the result that the sheriff shouldn't punish the innocent man, shouldn't frame the innocent person, right, and have them executed because when you frame someone, there's always a big risk, a significant risk that you're going to be found out. And if you're found out, then that's going to undermine the faith that the people in the society have in the justice system. And when you undermine their faith in the justice system, terrible, terrible consequences result. Much worse even than the riot. And so the thought is, utilitarianism gets the right result. That's a first utilitarianism response that Smart notices, but Smart admits that McClosky has a rejoinder. He has a reply to that, which is just this. You can keep tweaking the scenario, right? You can add the fact that the sheriff is very good at framing people, knows about himself that he's very good at framing people. He knows that he'll get away with it. He's trying to do the morally right thing, but he knows he can pull off framing someone and not get caught. What if he knows that, right? If he knows that, then we have a new situation, a new scenario, and it seems to function as a counterexample to utilitarianism. So Smart just ends up admitting that, yes, utilitarianism, the moral theory, gets the result in some situations like this, that the morally required thing, the morally right thing, is to frame an innocent person. And Smart's ultimate response to this, as a utilitarian, is just to say, yes, you're right, but that's the right answer. Framing the innocent man is actually the morally right thing to do. That's what Smart says. And he argues for this just by emphasizing how serious these riots might be, how bad they are. Remember, in the riots, Smart says, people will die, and those people are innocent too. It's not an easy choice for the sheriff. But at the end of the day, Smart says, although it's uncomfortable to frame an innocent person for a crime, it's actually the right thing to do because hundreds of people, hundreds, much more than the one innocent person that just needs to be framed and executed, right? Hundreds of innocent people will die. And so Smart just, as we say in philosophy, Smart just bites the bullet. Biting a bullet is something that you do when you have to undergo some very painful surgery, right? In order to weather the pain, you bite on a bullet. Well, Smart just bites the bullet. He has to take the pain of admitting that framing an innocent person is the right thing to do. The question, of course, that you should be asking yourself is whether that's right, whether framing the innocent person in this situation is the morally right thing to do. If it is, then utilitarianism seems like a plausible moral theory. If framing an innocent person is never the right thing to do, then you must think that utilitarianism is false.